coached and talked during his tenure here. I wonder what might be different tomorrow, if anything. Sal Capaccio with us now on the West Shore Hotline. Sal, is maybe that one of the more interesting things to think about with respect to this press conference tomorrow is how Brady might sound or be different in some way? Because I think fans are, maybe we're all wondering, like, what did he not get to do that he might have wanted to do in any way as an assistant to Sean McDermott?
Yeah, I don't expect him to sound much different. He's going to be asked those questions. I don't think you're going to get much from that. Like, he's not going to sit there and tell you, well, you know what, Sean did this, but I'm going to do this differently. Like, I mean, I don't know of any coach that, gets hired to start going in that direction. We'll probably hear a lot of the same types of things that we've heard over the years from Joe Brady and really, quite frankly, from Brandon Beane, who, by the way, is also part of the media availability tomorrow. My guess is you're going to hear the word in some way, shape, or form, collaboration or collaborate many times. I mean, that's just what the message has been. It's what it was with Sean McDermott. From Brandon Beane last week with Terry Pegula, I'm guessing you're going to hear a lot of that. And honestly, like, I'd be pretty stunned if we got any notable, real, like, juicy sound bites from Joe Brady out of something like this.
Yeah, it's really notable to me that, like, what seems to be getting highlighted by a lot of the national reporters is, he aced the interview, home run at the CEO part. I guess that's, knowing how to delegate and all that, like all that. But the second piece of that is said to have been really impressive to them was recognizing the importance of there being like a good working relationship between the coaching staff and personnel department, which feels like another sign that was what ultimately was a big part of McDermott's undoing here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's been a lot of speculation and maybe even, and I would tell you like how maybe Sean's not getting what he wanted from Brandon or Brandon wanted what he wanted. And, that would clash a little bit. I think it goes beyond that. I think when I read that, when I hear that, I think it goes to system fitting personnel. And, hey, there's a vision that Brandon Beane has of these players that he wants to bring in and feels that this is how you ultimately win a Super Bowl. And Sean McDermott has a certain system that he employs, whether that's offensively, but especially defensively. And that hasn't necessarily worked. So, for example, and I know that it didn't work out with him even beyond Buffalo. But remember when they drafted Kyrie Elam, right? It was like, well, why are you drafting a guy who his main trait is man-to-man defense, but you run a lot of zone? I think that's like a good example of that. Whereas maybe, and then I think yesterday is a clue about finding out that the Bills are interested in Jim Leonard. I mean, Jim Leonard is known for and coming from a defense throughout his years as a player under Rex Ryan and as a coach in Denver under Vance Joseph that they're very aggressive. They're really aggressive up front. They're known for creativity, aggressiveness, getting after the quarterback. That's not what Sean McDermott's defenses are known for. They've been known for, let's keep everything in front of us, make sure that we don't get beat on explosive plays, live to fight another day, bend, don't break. And that's worked primarily for the Bills, except what's happened in the playoffs. What's been the knock? They haven't been able to get the quarterback on the ground. So I could see a scenario where Brandon Beane is like, hey, I've invested resources in top picks, first and second round picks over the years in front seven. We've signed guys to big contracts in front seven. And these guys should be able to get to the quarterback and blitzing and all these kinds of things. And Sean McDermott's philosophy is kind of just, well, we don't really do a lot of that here, but we're going to make it work with what we have. And maybe this is a sign, what you're saying, what you're talking about is how the personnel fits the vision, how the draft guy who's making the decision ultimately on the draft pick is in line with what the head coach wants to run. And now he's saying, I'm going to hire a guy who does those kinds of things.
Sal Capaccio with us. Sal, more broadly, what kind of an offseason is this going to sound like? I was thinking about that, talking with a friend this morning, like somebody who isn't enthused, to put it mildly, about this Brady choice. And I said the thing to him that I've said a lot on the air, like these seasons, it's sort of in a certain kind of way, you sort of wait for the playoffs and then it starts to matter. I mean, they've been that good. But what's your, not to sort of divert to that exact area, what's your impression so far of like how this decision is going over? Because I wonder if we're facing, as hosts and, conversation people. An off season where there's just a lot of like doubt or negativity toward the Bills, which has not been the case for the most part, at least in a long time.
You guys remember after 13 seconds, I came on here a little while after that, and I said, you watch, no matter what happens this offseason, there's just going to be everybody mad at Sean McDermott. It doesn't matter. Sean McDermott's good. No matter what happens, everybody's just going to be mad at Sean McDermott. And he could make all these decisions, and they could make promotions, hires, they're going to be mad at Sean McDermott. I feel like that's the kind of offseason we're in for, which is no matter what, it's just going to be some sort of ire towards everything. People are mad, and they feel that, they didn't hire the right guy. Brandon Beane got a promotion, all that kind of stuff. And nothing's going to matter in that really in that regard until they get to the season. And once they get to the season, that's going to happen. So, yeah, I think that we're in for an offseason of you're just not going to be able to please anybody. And it's going to be a lot of negativity and a lot of skepticism that's going to go along with it. Now, this year's a little bit different. There's a new stadium opening. There's a lot that's going to go on with that, right? So we're going to have a lot of talks about that. There's definitely, going to be some changes for sure in the coaching staff. We know that. There's going to be different personnel, guys in and out, all that stuff. Some of it people are going to get excited about and some things, but I just feel that you're probably looking at the next several months of no matter what the Buffalo Bills do, it's going to be looked at and told to you why people are mad about it, even if they shouldn't be mad about it.
Is Beane McDermott now in this way? Like, is it going to be mostly about him?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the temperature now, unless he goes and trades 2 first-round picks for Justin Jefferson. Then that could change the equation, right?
Right?
Then all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a minute,
quick follow-up. Should the Bills trade 2 first-round picks for Justin Jefferson?
Right, so I think that
I'll sign for that right now.
Exactly, right. So
yeah.
That was yesterday. I opened up X. You know how you get to the sidebar and all the trending topics, and then there's AI and all that, and one of them is Bills fans want Justin Jefferson to pair back with, Joe Brady, right? Because he coached him at LSU, and he still got his profile picture that has him with Burrow and Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all that. So yeah, that stuff happens. But no, I just think we're in for an offseason where, yeah, you guys, the temperature is going to be hot, and I think at the end of the day, it's because there's really no margin for error here. Right, with this hire and with this team going forward. And I said this when they fired Sean McDermott. It doesn't matter if they hire Joe Brady or Brian Dable or someone from the outside, somebody who's never been a coach, somebody who's won Super Bowls. It doesn't matter. The reason you fired Sean McDermott, you said, was hitting the proverbial playoff wall. The next person has to go beyond that. They have to. If they don't, then it's going to be seen as you stayed stagnant at the very worst. At the very best, I guess, you stayed stagnant. And that creates very little margin for error for the next whatever amount of months.
Well, in the context of this conversation we're having here about what the mood may be like for, weeks, months, whatever, what can happen, maybe, I don't know, we'll find out tomorrow. How far do you think coordinator hires can go to sort of, I don't know if ease the pain, quell the crowd, whatever phrasing you like here, just kind of calm everything down. Because knowing now for sure, Bobby Babbitt's just taking a job in Green Bay, so he's not being run back. We don't know what they're going to do for an offensive coordinator. We know Brady's going to call plays, but I've also learned in the last 48 hours or so that Aaron Kromer was largely assisting or if not flat out calling run plays, like suggesting run plays to Brady. That's what being the run game coordinator, I guess, can entail, at least in this scenario it did. Are there a couple of names that you think would go a long ways towards sort of, okay, at least we're getting bright young minds from outside coming in at those 2 important spots, OC and DC?
I like the trial balloon type of reaction from Jim Leonard that I've seen. Yeah. I think it's been pretty positive for the most part. I've seen a lot of people, and I agree with this, say, hey, if Jim Schwartz, if he's really, disenchanted and can get out of that contract, bring him to Buffalo. I do think that would help quell some of this from even the most, upset fans. But at the end of the day, even those upset fans are going to probably say, yeah, but Brandon Beane is still in charge, and he hired a yes man. This is what they're saying, right?
Yeah.
He hired a yes man, and he's just going to do what Brandon Beane wants, and Joe Brady's still calling plays, so I'm looking forward to the 3rd and 10 tunnel screen. So even if you do those things, you're still going to get back to that in some way. But I do think because offensive coordinator is not really going to matter here, right? Even if they brought in Davis Webb or Brian Daboll, that person's not calling plays, and people are going to be like, well, it's still Joe Brady calling plays. And then the question is like, well, what happens? Is he ever going to what if he starts to not have a good offense? He's going to push it off to the other person. Those questions. It really comes down to defensive coordinator. That's what this comes down to. I'll say this. I think there's been a positive reactions from some of the fans that see that some of these guys aren't being retained.
Yep.
Like Adam Henry, wide receivers coach. I mean, we see the report from Cameron Wolf, and then I tweeted out Adam Henry's going to be heading to the Steelers, and Bills fans are like, okay, let's go. Like, bring somebody else in. This is a good sign. He's not just staying with the status quo, and we didn't like that guy, and Keon Coleman didn't develop. And to be fair, the Bills really haven't had many wide receivers develop over the last several years, really, other than Khalil Shakir. And you could argue Gabe Davis, obviously, early in his career when Adam Henry wasn't even the wide receivers coach. But that has been a position where they have not developed as well. And then, of course, Bobby Babich, and okay, well, here we go. It's going to be time for something new on the defensive side. So I do think some of that is starting to happen and go the other way a little bit.
With Sal Capaccio, well, you said earlier when we started this conversation, like collaboration and maybe the theme we'll get from Brady and Brandon Beane tomorrow. But Brady should get a pretty direct question. How are you going to be different than Sean McDermott? Like the whole point of this, or at least relieving McDermott, is like this is change. So how, sir, are you going to be different as a leader or just in some way? Brady should be prepared to answer that with a real answer, I think, because, that would always be sort of obvious, but especially given this, maybe there's confusion in the air about whether this is really change at all. Hopefully Brady comes with, because I've never really found him that forthcoming at these press conferences. I don't know if you care to agree or disagree with that. Usually, as I put it, he kind of both sides everything. When I hear Brady talk, it's like, well, yes, but also this and also this and also this. Is he going to have some answer to how did you get this job? Really, is sort of what the question is. How do you plan to do things differently? In which ways than McDermott did?
I doubt you'd get a direct answer on that. I mean, any coach who answers that directly is going to be seen as kind of negativity against the previous coach, right? I mean, that's how it comes off.
Depends how you say it.
But right?
It depends how you say it.
I would have I can't remember you guys. I can't think of a coach who's done that in that way. I mean, you could maybe find an example somewhere, but it's tough. It's tough to do that without sounding like you're saying that guy didn't do this right. I'm going to do this right. Now, he could talk about any little thing like practice schedules, right? I mean, I don't know how he does that, strength, weight room and strength training and all that. But anything he says is going to me and to a lot of people, and probably sound bites are going to be happening all around the country. If he says anything like this to a direct question or answer like that, Mike, is going to probably sound like he's being negative and criticizing Sean McDermott. And Joe Brady's not that type of guy. You're right. We don't get a lot from him. And it's funny. He is way different than Bobby Babich when it comes to that stuff when we've talked to them over the years, right? Bobby is super, I've always found Bobby to be kind of refreshing and interesting, and always said he's actually a really good soundbite, and someday if he's ever a head coach, that's gonna be cool for people to deal with him if he's the same way. Joe is super buttoned up. He does not give you much. He always, his standard pat answer is usually, I got to be better than that. I got to do something better than that. I got to figure out a way to get him the ball. It's a lot of accountability on himself, whether or not he even feels that way. He's just going to do that because I think Joe comes from that type of, talking point from a coach. And to say, it's all going to be on me and I'm never going to throw a player under the bus and I'm always going to kind of take accountability here. So I don't think you're going to get that specific thing you're looking for tomorrow from him.
The trick is, not that I need to, weigh in necessarily here, but the trick is to preface any of your comments that might be perceived as that with no offense or with all due respect or all these things that are obvious red flags to anybody when you're in a conversation with them. Like something bad is about to happen here, but you just sort of lead with, with all due credit to everything that Sean has accomplished. You sort of put that out in the front, and then you can get away with a little bit.
Or maybe you can just say the thing, and then afterwards just say, I'm just saying.
Right, I'm just saying. I was just saying.
I'm just saying.
I mean, how would it come across if he says, well, I really want to be a lot more aggressive on defense. I mean, suddenly that's a soundbite that he's criticizing Sean McDermott. People are saying he said McDermott's passive, right?
Well,
you can't do that.
No, you're right, and you have to be careful with the wording, and hopefully Brady is, if he's going to even go there, smart enough to figure that out. But I'll tell you what, I think everybody would appreciate it. Some sort of, because fans are in a bad spot here. Like some sort of reality in like what actually is happening right now. Like what's going to be different. And hopefully he can figure out a way to express, and maybe Bean will be better, more able to do that with Pegula not there, right? You're saying we don't expect, you didn't say it, but you said Bean yes, but did that imply that Pegula no tomorrow?
What we have is Brandon Beane and Joe Brady available tomorrow. So
that'll be
that. And I don't even know. Like I don't. People have asked me, is Josh Allen going to speak? At some point, we thought we'd hear from Josh. I don't know when that will be.
Yeah.
Whether that's tomorrow or another day. We haven't heard from Josh yet either.
I don't know that the team ever announced it, but I feel like one of the reporters, not you, that I follow, said that maybe they had been in touch with Allen or someone close to Allen, and that after the coach was hired, he'd have a media availability at some point.
Well, that was Jay Skursky actually who reported that last week.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's 10 degrees every day, and Allen is Allen. If he's here, he's not doing it right. He should be.
He should be somewhere.
He should be somewhere else.
Should have stayed on the yacht
by now. I mean, maybe he did. All right, Sal. You know how I enjoy asking yourself and Paul and other people sometimes. Do you have any questions for us? Mm-hmm. So this is maybe a way to tap into how you're feeling about the Sabres. Do you have any questions for us?
I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, so the Bills have had 21 coaches in their history, counting interims and Lou Saban twice. Okay.
And Harvey Johnson.
Out
twice.
of those.
Yes.
Oh, was Harvey Johnson there twice? Okay.
Yes.
Out of those 21 coaches.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one because it's a long time ago. Joe Collier. Okay, the answer to this question. There are 3 others who've won at least 9 games in their first full year.
Wade.
Can you name them?
Wade
Phillips is correct.
98.
He was 10-6 in 1998.
McDermott.
McDermott was 9-7. Yes, in 2017.
There's one more.
Mm-hmm.
Was the thing with the New England game for Marone to get to 500 or
second
to be
year.
above 500? Oh, it was his second year.
Then he quit.
Damn it, that's right. Okay, forget him. Sorry.
What was Rex?
Rex was 6-10 or 8-8. Sorry, 8-8. Rex. He was one game short.
Well,
I don't think Knox won. I don't think Knox started with the winning
Correct,
record.
he did not. That's right.
Marv took over midseason, but his first full season
They went
was
7-8.
7-8. That doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be the 60s, doesn't it?
Nope.
No,
it
it's
is actually this century.
More recent. Yeah, more recent. Who won 9 games is Malarkey.
Malarkey, right. Yeah, 04.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, should have won 10, right? I mean,
Right.
Play the Steelers backups at the end of the year, but
Right.
Malarkey. So Malarkey did it, and Wade Phillips did it, and Sean McDermott did
I'll tell you what, this
And,
Brady had better win 9 games.
Right. So that was why I was thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. So literally that's how I got there, Mike. I'm thinking, boy, the over-under on the Bills next year is going to be, 12 and a half, right? To 11 and a half, 12 games.
Something.
And, he's got to clear that bar, basically. And I'm thinking, how many first-year coaches have ever really done that for the Bills, regardless? And that's how I got to looking that up.
McDermott's record is going to look so good in the course of time. 98-50. Like, that winning percentage is way better than Levy's. It's like 50 points better than Levy's. I mean, it's going to look so good in the course of time. If someone else wins the Super Bowl, then he's Bucks Dungy or Eagles Reed, But what's that still? Like, those are all-time greats, right? And he'll coach again. Maybe he won't be as fortunate then, but 98-50. Remember how Wade kind of flaunted 29-19? Like, that was...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 98-50 just sounds awesome.
It does.
It's really good.
It's a hell of a record.
And by the way, Bulldog, I heard you say at the beginning of the show, you'd like to know what they're saying in Toronto on the show opposite you. Well, good news. I was on that show
Here we
today,
go.
at the same time you started your show today.
You two and your Toronto.
Right.
All I can do
Okay.
is go there, and it's not enough.
I love those guys. That show,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry it's opposite our show because it's my favorite radio show other than my own.
And Sal's.
I will tell you, there is a realization going on in Toronto because, like, the minute I went on, they contacted me to talk about the Bills, and then we started real quick talking about the Sabres and the game last night. And I'm like, hey, I mean, for the first time in a long time, we can honestly, truly say the Sabres are just better than the Leafs. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right about that. Like, they're really good. That was really something to watch them last night. So they're showing some mad respect up there.
Yeah, I like to hear that. I think enough of that show that watching the game last night, I was thinking, man, I would love to hear these guys tomorrow. Because I just like how they do what they do. I think it's a smart, funny, excellent show. And every guy there brings something anyway. So I'm glad you got to join them.
Thank you, Sal.
Yeah,
we'll talk again tomorrow. Yeah, all right. Good.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks, guys. 12 noon press conference.
Righto. Joe Brady and Brandon Bean going to be present for that at noon. And I'm sure we're carrying that live. I don't want to speak for One Bills Live. That's their, or no, it's a Sabres Live window. Anyway, I'm sure it'll be here.
One Buffalo.
Sales appearance with us, by the way, brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's